Hello, today is April 22nd, 2022. My name is Juanita Moreno. I'm interviewing Aracely Arambula for the University Library Special Collections and Archives at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, hereafter abbreviated as UTRGV. This project is in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Please know, Mrs. Aracely Arambula, that this interview will be placed in the University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV and shared with the Voces Oral History at the University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. The University Library Special Collections and Archives will archive your interview along with any other photographs and other documentation you are willing to share. UTRGV University Library will retain copyright or non-exclusive right to the interview and any other materials you donate to Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consenting to make sure you agree with our interview procedures before we continue. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each question. First question, do you give University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV consent to archive your interview and your materials at the UTRGV University Library?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives right, title, and interest in copyright over the interview and many materials you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives to post this interview on the internet, where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant the University Library Special Collections and Archives consent to share your Zoom interview with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History Mini Project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
As you recall, we previously filled out a pre-interview form. We use information from this pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept in a secure Voces server at the University of Texas at Austin. Before Voces sends it, UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives, we would have stripped out any contact information for yourself or family members, so that will not be part of your public file. Your public file will only be accessible at UTRGV University Library. The final 2 questions ask for your consent on what I just described. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in the public file available to researchers at UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives?
Yes, I agree.
On occasion, UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and Voces receive requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone numbers or your email with journalists?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you for your consent. Your experiences and stories mean a lot to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives. I look forward to what you say in the interview. Questions I will now ask. Aracely, thank you for your time. Like I said earlier, your stories and experiences are valuable to us at UTRGV, Special Collections and Archives, and to our partners at the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Because you are an assistant teacher working with pre-K students, and because you are a wife, a mother of a 1-year-old baby boy, and you also have your mother, which you also take care of, I know you have many meaningful stories and experiences to share on how COVID-19 has impacted these roles you carry out in your life. So before we talk about COVID-19 stories, can you please share with us a bit about yourself? Who are you and how you wish to be known? Who is Aracely Arambula?
Hey, my name is Aracely Arambula. I am 30 years old. I am married. I have a 1-year-old. He is a year and 4 months. I am an assistant teacher at the Edinburgh 5 Head Start. I love working with kids. I've been working with children for the past 12 years. And I do have my mother. My father just passed away about 2 years ago. And right now I'm getting or thinking of going back to school and obtaining my bachelor's.
This first section of question, I'm going to ask you, please share your stories and memories from when the COVID-19 pandemic made its first impact on December 2019 to about the summer of 2020. So the first question I want to ask you is, can you share some memorable stories about how you first heard or learned about COVID-19?
Well, when I first heard about COVID-19, I really didn't think it was a big deal, like many of us thought. I heard from it because of the news and people talking about it, but I didn't think it was gonna be a big impact into our lives. Um, Later that I know that it became a big, major problem that affect all of us, especially with to a lot of family members that I know and other people that lost lives or loved ones because of this pandemic. And it was a very big impact and a big affection to all of us. But I didn't really think much of it until I started seeing that it started becoming a big problem, and then the the use of a face mask, and then taking protocols, and the sanitizing, the being out there, being safe. And I did see that it did took a lot of affection in a lot of people.
What were some early reports or rumors about COVID-19 that you remember back in 2020?
Well, the rumors that I heard was just that it was a big pandemic, that it was taking the lives of a lot of people. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't think it was a big thing in the beginning because I want to say it wasn't happening or affecting myself or a family member to me at the moment. But once I started seeing news and people and um, things that were like Clorox wipes that were missing from stores, or um, disinfecting wipes, kind of sanitizing Germix, all the items that we use to stay safe, any protocols that we needed to take in order for all of us to stay safe of this pandemic.
At what point did you realize that this pandemic was a serious life-altering event?
I realized it once I started seeing the news that cases were going up, that people were dying, that we saw a family member, or not necessarily family member, but a friend or a relative to a friend, and that there was a moment where we had to stay home. We have to be without a job for a moment. Most of us lost our jobs when things started running out of stores, and a lot of things that actually I did see that made me see, well, things are really turning out really bad with this pandemic.
Do you remember what it was like for you during the stay-at-home orders in 2020? And do you have any stories from this time you could tell?
I remember that in the beginning, it wasn't affecting me as like my family, but I did get to see friends who were suffering from it. I did get to see, students, other teachers, friends from family members, and it did took me like a big part of effect, like a big impact, because how I had said, I didn't think it was becoming a big situation, until we ended up being staying home and not being able to go out. We have to be try to be home and staying safe with our family members for our own good. It did. I didn't think I was going to get COVID until I ended up getting it. I want to say 2 months ago, which is in February. I'm not sure really the date, but I ended up getting COVID. We became positive, me and my husband, and then we did send my child to my mom's house. So he stayed there for at least a week and a half until we became negative again. But I ended up getting fever, cough, of course, and so did my husband. But I mean, nothing major. Like, I mean, it affected other people.
Over the last couple of years, what news media or social media or other sources do you rely on to keep you informed about COVID-19? And why do you prefer these news sources?
I think that at this point, in this point of the pandemic, I preferred all of the above, which is, I mean, social media, as I mentioned, Facebook, um, the news, any newspaper, any articles, because COVID-19 was mentioned everywhere. That was a big thing out there. So, I mean, anything that would keep me updated or know what's going on with this pandemic, I wanted to be notified by any media or any news as possible.
Can you share with me what you understand about COVID-19 as an infectious disease and how you feel it has impacted the society? Likewise, can you share with me what you don't understand about COVID and you wish you could know more about?
I will be honest. I do not know. I didn't know much about it, but what I did see, I understood was how everything started, how it came from another country, state, and how it spread. I for sure knew, of course, it was a virus and it started spreading to everybody. There's a bunch of rumors from a lot of people, a lot of versions, so I wouldn't really know which would be the main reason of this. But I know it did affected a lot of people and it took so many lives.
Do you feel your family has the same beliefs as you about COVID-19? Or are there some members who take it more seriously or more lightly? How so?
At the beginning, when everything started, we didn't want to believe, I guess, because how I had mentioned, nothing was happening to us until how I had said we started seeing a lot of people taking being affected by it. I would mention even my brother. I have a brother who did not believe that it at all. Um, he to this point, thank God, he has not gotten COVID. But I do have my other brother who did get COVID, and it did really took a big effect on him. He did lost taste and smell. He lost he couldn't breathe well, so he was short on breath. He did get a lot of fever, a lot of cough. He was really, really bad. So it did get to the point that we didn't think he was gonna really make it, but thank God he did. So from there, that's when we did took it serious. It's not that we didn't want to take it serious, but how I had mentioned, it wasn't taking an affection on us. So once we started seeing our other sibling going through what he was going through, and he did mention to us, like, take it serious, take your protocols, like, be safe, because it's nothing good, it's nothing to be um happy about. He was going through a rough time. So once we did see all of this, so we started taking it more serious. And as rumors, how I had said, as rumors started spreading and we started seeing a lot of things going on and in almost everyone out there, people who lost lives and were going through what they went through when they got COVID. That's when we started realizing, hey, this thing it's affecting a lot of people, and it is a very serious pandemic.
This next part asks you to share any stories about COVID-19 vaccines and any vaccination related stories that you may wish to tell. Did you get a vaccine and any follow-up booster shots?
Me and my husband only received the first and second dose, and we are very happy, or we thank God that we ended up getting them, because I think it would have been another story if we would have gotten um, these vaccines. There was no vaccine in the beginning. That is why I say a lot of people might have. That is why the reason they didn't have no medication on them that might hold them back of them losing their lives. Sorry. And so once it affected us, once we got COVID, I think the vaccinations was one of the things that helped us, stay stronger, and it wouldn't really take much affection on us. We are not getting the booster yet. We will wait, but for now we do have the first and second dose, and I believe our booster shot was supposed to be, we were supposed to be getting in, maybe this past month or this month, but we are looking into it. So for hopefully we will be getting it.
Okay, what was it like? Was it easy or difficult for you in terms of scheduling for the vaccine? Was there any wait time? Can you share a memory from the place where you were vaccinated?
We didn't really had a hard time scheduling an appointment. It was just a walk-in, no charge at all. We went in there and we were waiting for 20 minutes in there, and they vaccinated us, and we waited in the room for like the 15 minutes we were supposed to wait to see if there was going to be any effect that the vaccine might have affect us in any way. But I mean, nothing went wrong. Everything went good. It was in the Renaissance Hospital here in McAllen, Texas. The second time that we went on our second dose, it was the same thing. They didn't take long with us. They were very nice with us. They treated us well. We got there. They took down our information. We were only there, like I said, 20 minutes, and we were gone. But like I said, we are very glad we got the vaccines.
These next set of questions, Aracely, I'm going to ask you about how COVID-19 has impacted your life in the way of your career and your family. Aracely, you shared with me in our pre-interview that you have one baby boy, which is 1 year old. Has COVID-19 impacted your family life in terms of the way you interact and visit with one another? And can you share with me some stories or examples on how you and your family have adapted to your family interactions during the pandemic?
I want to say, in a way, it did impact us. In a way, it didn't. In a way, yes, because we did started seeing a lot of people losing their lives. We started seeing that this pandemic was being very harmful to a lot of people, that it became a big problem. And I did see my sibling going what he went through, and at the same time, not just people in general, but friends of our friends, or relatives to our friends. So people that are close to me or to our families. And then there goes a part of my sibling, he did getting it, and it was it affected him in the strong way, not now that, cases are going down. And I think in a way it affected everyone, because it was a big impact, and then there was a lot of people who lost their lives. And then I want to say, in a way, it didn't, because we're here. So thank God we're here. Thank God. We were able to get vaccinated. My son is here with us. He's safe. I didn't lose any family member, thank God. No coworkers, nobody who I work with, no students, thank God. So relatives, they're all here. I thank God I didn't get to lose anyone from this pandemic. So I want to say, in a way, yes, it did affected me, and in a way, it didn't. And the good thing is that right now, cases have been going down and down and down.
You mentioned that you and your spouse were infected with the virus. And how did you deal with taking care of each other? Was your son living with you while you were infected? And if he wasn't, who took care of him?
Our son does live with us. He was staying with us when we got COVID-19, but I did start it first with my symptoms, which was the chills, the shaking, the getting the fever. And so I did said to myself, like, oh my God, I might be getting COVID-19. I do need to go get tested. So was my spouse. I started seeing my spouse getting the same symptoms. So I did say, well, we have to go get checked. We don't want to get the baby sick. And I did started seeing that the baby started getting fever. So I did tell my spouse, definitely this is COVID-19 and we have to go get tested. So we did went to go get tested and we did became positive. We came positive from COVID-19. So as soon as we went back home, baby did have no fever, but we did ended up taking him to my mom's house. I didn't want to get him tested because of how little he was, and I was too scared, me as a mother. And which in a way I did think I had to, but there was something holding me back. So I ended up taking him to my mom. She monitored him. She took care of him. And I kept calling her constantly, how's the baby doing? Does he still has fever? Mom kept telling me, no, he doesn't. He's doing well. He's playing. So I think we were able to save him on time, like for him, preventing him from getting COVID-19 like we did. In our case, for me and my spouse, we were fine actually. We were only feeling sick for a day or two, and that's it. We were fine after the 2 days of becoming positive. We were still positive, of course, but we had no symptoms. So I think it's like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that did help us was us getting vaccinated. And since there's no vaccine for a baby, it's only from ages 12 and up. So there's no vaccination right now for the babies, or it wasn't back at that moment. If there is one right now, and not that I have known. But if there is, I mean, I really wish to have my baby vaccinated, because we never know, cases can still come back. But we were fine, and our baby is fine, thank God. But my mom ended up taking care of him. And after the 10 days, we tested negative. We ended up going for him, and we're here. We're safe.
You mentioned that you were both positive with COVID-19 and how you had to take your son to your mom to take care of him. After that or during that time, how has COVID-19 impacted the life of your baby boy?
Right now, I don't want to say it really impacted him, because since he's a baby, he doesn't really know much. And me as a mother, it did impact me because I'm the one that, me and my spouse actually, we're the ones that have to look after him, taking care of him, make sure he's safe. So I mean, we do take protocols. So it did affected us because of how scared we were, because we, in the beginning, how I had mentioned earlier, we didn't really pay much attention to the virus because it was barely out there. It was barely becoming a big thing. Not until it affected one of my siblings, and then I started seeing a lot of people getting affected by it, and then we got it. So that's when it affected me because now we have to be more um, precautious on that because how I had said, we never know if it can come back to us, if cases can go up, and then it can also re-affect my baby.
You mentioned that your husband is a custodian at a public school here in Edinburgh, Texas. Did COVID-19 affect him while he was working? And if so, how did he deal with the virus?
I want to say it didn't really affect him. Um, the if it did, in a way, the way it would affect him was that he was working with teachers, students, and there was a lot of cases going up with teachers and students. So he was surrounded by other people that might have gotten in contact with COVID-19 or might have had it. And I mean, he didn't know. So, but I mean, he kept taking his protocols, the face mask covering, the cleaning one, washing hands, the using the Germex, using Clorox wipes, taking protocols more than anything. Um, and then when it did affect him was, well, when he got COVID-19, but I mean, he was at home all the time. So he didn't get in contact um, with somebody and that person might have had gotten it because of him. Um, but I think the only affection that it would take him was that the working with other people that might have gotten in contact and when him not knowing. But that I think that's the only way it might have affected him. And then seeing other cases and or coworkers, family members going through what they were going through.
What extra precautions are you and your husband doing to minimize any exposure to COVID-19? Now that you all live, because you had mentioned you moved away from your home. Now that you live away from your mom, but you have to come back to visit because she takes care of your son while you both are working.
Okay, well, the more than anything, the covering of the face, which is using the face mask. There is known that in a lot of places it is not required to use a face mask anymore. But my husband, now that he is working with the district, they don't require a face covering anymore. So he still takes that protocol. He still takes care of himself because he has a family to come to. He has his daughter, he has his son, he has me, and me as well. We do wear a face mask all the time when we go out to the stores, when we go to work. Um, always remember washing our hands with water and soap. Um, he's always around chemicals, which is Clorox, the soap, the water. Since he is a custodian, he always uses gloves. So he just tries to take good care of himself as much as he can. And same as myself, always trying to wear gloves at work, wash hands all the time, and the covering of the face mask. And we try to protect ourselves and stay safe as much as we can.
Aracely, let's now talk about how this pandemic is affecting the work you do as an assistant at the Head Start program. Aracely, how long have you worked at the Head Start program?
Right now, I am going to 3 years. I've been working there for 2 years already.
How have you seen COVID impact your work? For example, when were the impacts first experienced at your workplace, and how has COVID-19 impacted your ways of helping your teacher at the Head Start program for the 2021 school year?
The way it affected me at work was because we started seeing a lot of teachers getting this virus, and then a lot of parents, and then parents coming to us telling us, "Oh, my child got COVID. He became positive," and then we have to stay at home, being 2 weeks at home, or having those children that were becoming positive, staying at home. So by seeing all that, it did take an impact or an affection on us, because we started seeing that things were not getting any better. So it did affected me, as me seeing others as coworkers, especially children, which are my students. And I think that will be the only reason why I will say that it impacted us there at my job.
Did the Head Start program provide remote learning for your students, and how did you handle that?
It did. Well, we always try to explain and teach and go over safety rules, precautions there at school with the students, about the safety of us, having the kids wash their hands, having our kids always stay clean, or using their face mask at all times.
How effective do you believe was your remote or online learning for educating your students? And did your students have access to a device and the internet?
They really didn't have a device for safety protocols, but what we did was show them videos of safety protocols. It didn't took me or took us, me and my other teachers or coworkers, teaching them, because in a way, how it affects everyone, it also affected the children, and they already knew what was going on. So it wasn't really too difficult to have them get the idea of staying safe. So they would always be trying to stay safe. At the end of the day, they were the ones telling us, yeah, we have to wash our hands, we have to stay clean, we always have to be wearing our masks, we have to cover our mouth and our nose, we always have to be using Kleenex, and things like that. We wouldn't have, especially a website or a device where they would actually go in the website and or for them to see something separate, but we ourselves will put them videos of safety protocols, and we will explain to them, and we will explain to them what was going on. And I mean, they had an idea of what was actually going on.
Have you had to take any extra work duties while providing remote education to your students because of COVID-19?
Not necessarily. I would just, always try to have them ready by the beginning of the day, every daily, by going over the safety rules and explaining to them of everything, of all the safeties that they need to take. But no, not necessarily.
What kind of protocols did Head Start have in place in response to COVID-19?
Well, we did have their children staying always 6 feet apart from each other. They did provided new tables with a glass in between, and there was 2 students between each table. There was no sitting down in carpets. They took a lot of things out, not using necessarily all toys. We had to, and if they did use any toys, we did have to disinfect them at all times. Every time they finished using them, they knew that when they went to the restroom, they already knew they had to wash their hands with water and soap. Also, always wearing their face mask. They knew they couldn't be without it, and if they were to be in line, they had to be 6 feet apart. Head Start also provided us with a lot of Clorox wipes and Clorox disinfecting sprays for the whole classrooms.
Do you know if the Head Start program had any concerns regarding your students' attendance while providing remote learning?
Yes, but we did have the children in virtual. So they would always check up on us as teachers, what was going on with his child, their absences. They understood in a way because of the pandemic, a lot of parents were scared. So there was an understandable situation there. So we actually try to maintain the kids always being educated in one way or the other as possible through virtual, through parents coming and getting packets to take home, and from there to review at home what was being reviewed in school. So they would do work, they will send us homework through photos, since a lot of parents would rather to keep them virtual due to this pandemic.
Does Head Start plan to resume in-class instruction soon? Or have you already started in-person instruction? And when did you start?
They have already restarted in classes already in person. I want to say a few months back, don't really know the date, but it's been a few months already that they've been in person. And since cases have been going down, I mean, things have been gotten really well, very better in a way, and they've been doing good. We haven't had so many cases at all at the moment. So now that they're in person, we've been having mostly all the time fully class. All 18, 20 students. So they were going in person, hardly have any virtual students. So I think, I don't want to say things are going back to normal 100%, but I mean, how compared to the beginning, things are getting a little bit better.
How did your students respond to the COVID protocols? And how did you help your students to follow these new protocols that were not in place before?
Most of the children, like I had said, they had no difficulty with it because they knew the situation, they knew what was going on. So they will follow any protocols that we would teach them. So they had no problem with with the washing of the hands, so using the water soap. There was a few of them that refused to use face masks, so that was a difficult part because they were not used to it, or some of them would say I can't breathe well. So did have some that will come in with shields, and but I want to say most of the class or most of the students in in Head Start would wear their face mask. There was a very low percentage who wouldn't, but they had no problem following any protocols.
Do you know of any employee that did not return to in-person instruction due to the COVID-19? And what was their reason for not returning, if we may know?
No, actually, all the teachers came back. There was no teachers that ended up not assisting anymore. I mean, we did stay at home for, I want to say, a few months. I want to say 2 months. But once we all got back to normal, or back to in person, in class, working, I think all coworkers all came back safety, and nobody quit. Everybody's there. So I mean, I didn't see nobody. I did hear a lot of employees being scared and not returning back to their jobs because of COVID-19. But at my job, as of now, everybody has come back.
This last section asks you to share any stories or you may have about this pandemic and the response by the local, state, and national elected officials. Feel free to respond or pass on any of the questions. Do you feel satisfied with the local response to COVID-19 in Edinburgh or the Hidalgo County over these last 2 years?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with the state response to COVID-19 led by Governor Abbott over the last couple of years?
Yes.
How do you feel about the national response to COVID-19 led by President Trump in the year 2020 and then President Biden from 2021 to present?
Well, I mean, there was a difference between presidents because, I mean, there was a less, news or safety protocols or less information with one president or the other. And we did see a big difference now that Biden's on the chair. And we saw a lot of difference, so many safety nets protocols helping us by sending stimulus checks and things like that. So I did see a little bit of a difference.
If you had the power of a political office to respond to COVID-19, what would you do differently?
I don't think I would do something differently. I mean, everything was okay to me. I mean, we did what we had to. We took our safeties how we had to take them. There was vaccinations. There was protocols. There was, I say there was almost like everything that we had to to take care of, to follow, to go through in order for us to maintain safety.
This year is a special year in our national democracy because it's a midterm election voting year. Do you plan to vote? And if so, is the issue of COVID-19 going to factor into your votes?
I'm not sure about the voting because I have honestly not really have voted before. But I mean, if there's a chance, I might think of it and might as well just go ahead and vote.
Will you consider the national response to the COVID-19 pandemic in your vote for a presidential candidate?
There is a chance, probably, maybe, yes. Because how I had mentioned, it was a big impact into a lot of people out there, and it was a pandemic that affected a lot of people, and it took a lot of lives. So it did became a big thing out there.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with me about your experiences with COVID-19 that I have not asked you about?
No, not at the moment. I think everything I shared was basically everything that I had to share about what I went through and relatives and people that I knew.
Thank you, Mrs. Arambula, for sharing your stories with me, the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History Project. Thank you.
You're welcome.